This is going to be a quick tour of the observability features of ACM, which is a subset of the cluster lifecycle management module. So we're going to click on Go to Clusters here, and this is going to be a representation of all the clusters that are currently managed by this instance of ACM. So we've got about 10 test clusters here, and as well as some introspection of the local cluster, which is how ACM terms the hub where it itself is running. Now, under the covers, the observability feature is using Observatorium to gather and organize metrics from all of the clusters, and Thanos to store those metrics. But we're using Grafana to visualize the data. So if you click here, it's going to open up the Grafana dashboard, and this is the default dashboard. The metrics here are updated in 1-minute intervals, but it's adjustable. If you scroll down, you can see that most of your useful metrics are going to be here, including CPU and memory utilization, as well as some graphs comparing those different clusters to each other. And as you would expect, the graphs are interactive. So if you want to drill into one particular cluster, you can highlight that, select it. You can also, if you want to drill down into the cluster itself, you can highlight it from here. So let's take a look at this one. This guy's got an 85% overestimation. So if we drill down into him, we get a further breakdown of the CPU utilization by namespace. So it tells us where all of it's going, where all the requests are. These graphs, we can highlight it. So I mean, this doesn't look like it's anything serious up here, but let's say that you saw a spike. If you can correlate this with a real-world event, you can actually add an annotation here that allows you to highlight it and say, okay, I've marked this. I know what this is. Like, let's say that you restarted a pod, or you did something that ramped up the CPU in an expected way. So that doesn't look like an anomaly to you any longer. Once you drill down into a cluster and you're looking at these namespaces, you can actually drill down into the pods that the namespace is running on. So we can drill into here, and this shows us all of the pods where this namespace is present, and also what the CPU requests for it look like. And you can keep doing this each time you drill down into one of these. You end up creating a new dashboard, or at least that's the terminology that Grafana uses for it. So your dashboard history is kept up here. We click on this, you can see all these are all the recent ones that we've looked at. And if we want to go back to the beginning, I can just click on the ACM clusters overview. That's what the default dashboard is called. But you can customize it. So if you want to click in here, you can change the name of the dashboard to whatever it is that you want it to be. You can add a description. You can add tags to classify what the dashboard is for. You can set your time zone here differently. Sometimes this is an issue where you've got people that are working in different time zones, trying to do troubleshooting in different time zones. It is amazing how much it matters when people look at something and they're trying to correlate times, that it matches their time that they're using. The annotations that I mentioned earlier, if you've annotated the graph, you can actually display that on your dashboard. The variables are for configuring your own dashboard widgets, and you can set those here. As you can see, there's a couple of these are default. You can link other dashboards to your dashboard, so it's really kind of configurable, and you can see the JSON model for the entire dashboard. So if you want to see or mess with the definition, you can do that in here. Now, you can also, from here, you can click on playlists, which is kind of a cool feature if you've got like a control center kind of thing where you want to. The playlist essentially is it cycles through a specific set of dashboards that you've defined. So if you want to look at the most important eggs in your basket, you can do that with this. The explorability. So Observatorium shares its base code or some of its base code with Prometheus, so it understands the PromQL query language. And essentially, if you want to create your own queries or you want to query a particular metric, you can do that from here. Let's see if we can find something that's good. So we're going to query HTTP requests. So this will give us a list of all of these. We can add a rate to it to make the graph look like something useful and make comparisons of it. And you can do this with tons of these different metrics here. Um, Finally, we are using Grafana, which is a somewhat mature platform, and you do have that option to install and use these plugins with your observability module.